Hey, welcome to another episode of It Resolves. My name is Kevin.
My name's Will. Back from, it feels like a hiatus. I was about to say that.
Yeah, but it's actually just been a week because we only do one now.
It feels like it's been so long. With school and work and all that, my time has shrunk. But since we're all busy, thank you for being here, tuning in, listening, watching, however you're doing it, where you're doing it, on the podcast app, on SoundCloud, on YouTube, of course. And as always, if you're on YouTube or any of those other places, our links are there. If you want to talk to us,
yes,
tell us if we're silly,
do things,
or adorable, or adorably silly, or absurd. I don't. There's plenty of adjectives that would fit.
Just look through the dictionary, pick one.
Thesaurus.
They all fit.
Thesaurus. Thesaurus.
Fine. Thesaurus.
The nerdiest dinosaur. The thesaurus.
Also, if you happen to enjoy these videos on YouTube, feel free to leave a like or a comment down below. We do read all of the comments that we get. So we will most likely respond. I think there's not been one I don't think that we've responded to, or we haven't responded to.
There were a few that tried to sell us Russian mail order brides.
Yes.
In the early days.
After the first one, we decided, no, we're not going to do that again.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Bye, Ivanka. So
Ivanka.
That's just the one.
Such a Russian name.
I just picked it out of the blue. So yeah, tidbit YouTube fact for any of you would-be creators out there: if you start making videos and put them out there, you might get some.
You will get some
tantalizing offers.
Don't take them.
No.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Yes. So today, on today's episode, we've got a very interesting show for you, I would say. We've got, obviously, our card of the day we're going to start off with. We've got some vintage changes that we'd like to talk about.
Yeah, this happened last week, but...
yes, on the 28th, I believe.
But we felt like we'd chime in.
Yeah, it's important.
It's relevant.
We thought we should talk about it. We also want to have a sort of impromptu discussion on card quality. That's been a big topic lately, and that's something that we thought we would weigh our opinion on, and maybe even have some sort of debate on that. We obviously have our question of the week, maybe not debate, but and then our cracker packs at the end, sponsored by Grand Slam.
Whoop.
So that is it. We are not doing a deck tech this week. Basically, what we're starting to do with the deck techs is use them sort of occasionally. We don't want to do them every episode because they sort of break up the episode in a weird way that doesn't really
feels disjointed.
Yeah,
we want them to be special. If we're gonna do a deck tech, we want to do it with meaning. Unless you just feel, man, It Resolves just stinks without that deck tech. Let us know. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you disagree with us, let us know, and we will bring them back. We do still plan to do them on the occasion.
Yeah, they're not going away. They're just becoming less frequent.
Exactly.
Would you say?
Yes. Cool. So, but with that, we will jump right in.
Yeah, heck yeah.
A random card of the day. It's always the best segment for me. 3, 2, 1. Skull Catapult. What? All the way from Ice Age and 5th edition. Right. Okay, it is a 4-casting artifact. You can tap 1 land and tap it to sacrifice a creature to have it deal 2 damage to target creature or player.
Sure. All right.
It seems pretty bad.
So yeah, I feel like
maybe unlimited. Maybe, right?
As filler, like I don't even.
All right, I'm
know.
gonna make an argument for this.
Talk
Unlimited, only unlimited, because there's no other hope for this.
I mean, okay.
There's no hope for this in anything else. Okay, in limited.
Yeah.
You have a creature-based deck. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Got a lot of, as most of the limited decks are. You've got a lot of little guys that are going to be outclassed late game. Okay? You're just going to be there, not doing much.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So you play this out, hopefully turn 4, something like that, and then get to use it to sack off these little guys to either pick off some of their sort of smaller guys, but hopefully a little bit bigger than the ones you had to sack, or just start dealing some extra damage to the opponent if you need to, just shocking them. What do you think?
I mean,
it's like the only time I can think that it's relevant.
Honestly, that's not terrible if you think about it, right? So
right, I mean, but
you could turn combat damage, like if it's say he's a 2/1, just some stinky little dude. You block a 4/4 with a 2/1, and then
you sack it, and deal the other 2.
Yeah, because you can do this.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Does that work? I don't know.
Does it resolve? I actually think No, I actually
No, I
don't think it
that
works.
Because
the damage, because the block still goes through. Right.
the block
so
still
in my
works,
mind,
but you don't get
yeah,
damage
no,
through.
because he's
so
not there for combat because he's sacked. Nope, doesn't work.
Yeah.
But no, I think that is a good
It's
point.
like the only good way to play it, though, right? Like that.
Yeah.
That would be okay.
If it wasn't at 4.
That's the thing.
Here's-
It's very and like you're sort of putting a lot of resources into this for
Absolutely.
just to cast it,
Mm-hmm.
which means you're going to be playing it into the mid to late game. There's no other way to do that. You can ramp it, but if this is what you're ramping into, I'm sorry. And then the effect itself, you tap 1 mana. That's not huge, but
Nah.
you can only use this effect once per turn because you have to tap this.
Right. That's the
And
other
then on
thing.
top of that, you have to sacrifice a creature, which admittedly, creatures get outclassed and limited. You're going to have low level creatures basically that you can sack, but like I feel like you'd be wanting to do a lot more if you're sacking a creature.
Yeah, and I
You
feel
know?
like you have to kind of decide, all right, is this creature better served as 2 damage or a chump blocker?
Exactly.
And a lot of times I feel like I might go with the latter, but
Yeah.
so
But it's worth noting you do get the block with this. Like, so you can block,
Well,
then
that's
sack
true,
the creature.
yeah.
And that's fine. You may not kill the creature, but
Yeah.
you can hit, shock to the head or
damage to
something
the
like
face.
that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's fine.
I mean, it does.
just-
It represents a clock and potential reach, which isn't
Yeah.
terrible.
It just doesn't seem. It's one of those cards that
here's how you.
kind of think it might be okay, but then at the same time not. Like,
I don't think it's okay, but here's how you make it okay.
okay.
2 mana instead,
Yeah.
and it's a free tap effect. It's still a tap effect because doing it unlimitedly would be dumb.
Yeah.
But
for
at
sure.
common, tap it for 2.
This is an
second thing.
uncommon.
I know.
worth
Yeah, it's
noting.
uncommon by the way, which is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
Um.
That's
What
the
about
only time
What about
I mean,
that?
I think that would be fine. I think I would be much more likely to play it.
But even still,
even
right?
still, it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like. I mean, it's a very slow clock.
Yeah, it is. It's not a favorable one. It's
In a red deck wins aggro deck, you could use this as like a top end, quote unquote.
I guess, but like,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Where you have to. It just doesn't seem that great. Yeah. Bad rating
yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of it. All right, moving on to the card of the day.
Yeah.
Not a better one, although kind of interesting.
I'm glad it exists for some reason.
Are you?
I kind of like the idea.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it
it's
makes
early
sense.
fling, right? It's
Yeah, I guess so. But
in a way
I'd rather just have fling.
proto fling. Yeah,
Fling's better
dude. Yeah,
in a million ways.
a million and one. Fling. It's just so
We
fun.
just need a giant fling
I'd be fine with that.
here. Maybe we can
need-
make that happen.
We need a sling.
First of all, we need set design, but like having a giant
Right.
fling would be pretty epic.
That'd be so
I would do
cool.
it.
Just print up. Just mail Office Depot a card. Mail them fling.
Be like, make this big.
Can I get this in 16:8, please?
That'd be awesome.
I don't know dimensions well.
16:8.
What is it? What is it? Length by width, right? Or is it
I think
Width.
so. Yeah.
by?
8.5 by 11. So think length by height. We're getting way off topic at this
So
point.
we would need like a
Width by height.
12 by 8. 12 by. Because it. We'll measure this later.
What is this?
I don't know. I ramble.
Welcome to the design channel where we learn dimensions.
This is a podcast about interior design. If you're into matches.
Because we're so good at that.
So, okay. Skull Catapult. No bueno.
No. Moving on
Right.
to vintage. Vintage news. As some of you may know, we already mentioned on the 28th, there were some changes that happened in vintage as far as the restricted and banned lists and things like that. So we thought we would very quickly go over them, talk
Yeah.
about why they were made according to the article, and why I think I agree with all of the choices that they made. I don't think there's anything that I'm
and
too against.
don't let us talking about this nonchalantly be a misnomer. This is a kind of a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Vintage is kind of, in my opinion, and I haven't played with the new changes, obviously, but it should shake up the meta tremendously.
Yeah,
right.
It definitely will. On a percentage base, definitely. I think we're gonna start to see a lot more Storm decks, which I'm stoked about.
Great.
Yeah, I mean Storm's always good, but it's like gonna get a lot better, I think. So okay, the 3 changes that were made.
Right.
Thorn of Amethyst, excuse me, is now restricted. Monastery Mentor is now restricted.
Yep.
Yawgmoth's Bargain is unrestricted, which I think is an interesting choice, and we'll talk about that a little more after we talk about the first two. So if anybody out there does play Vintage, you know that Shops and Mentor are the two by far dominating decks in the format.
Yeah.
Or they have been up until this point. They did over the 12 different tournaments, not 12 months of tournaments. They took some stats and things like that and basically culminated that Shops made up about 40% of the meta, whereas Mentor hit about 30%. And you've heard us talk before, once a deck is over like 20, we start to get a little hazy about it. So that's huge. I mean, by far the most dominating decks in almost any format that I can think of. Like, that's huge.
The biggest percent. 40 is probably
massive.
Yeah. And for those of you who may not know, restricted differs from banned very slightly in that you can only have one copy of that card in your deck.
Right.
So essentially you might be thinking, well, that doesn't completely take Mentor off. It does.
It does, yeah.
If you take away the instance of that card that much, right, by 75%. Yeah, that's not good. I mean, that's excluding tutors and stuff, but
sure, but
you don't want to have to include tutors in a Mentor deck. And the best tutors are restricted anyway.
Yeah. So let's very quickly talk about these sort of one at a time.
Right.
In the Shops deck, Thorn of Amethyst was the big card. Basically, it was a 2-drop artifact that said non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast.
It's Thalia.
It's the Thalia effect, which may not seem super impactful, but think about it this way. When you're in a format when you have free Force of Wills and free spells all the time, or very cheap spells that you get to cast very quickly, Storm goes off insanely quickly.
Yeah.
You hose all of these decks because they just will not have the mana to actually play these things out. And so, and not to mention, if you have one of them, it's bad. If you have 2 of them, it's twice as worse.
Because they're not.
It just gets insane.
They're different from Thalia in that she's a legendary creature.
Exactly.
So that
you
can't
can
stack
have
in
as
barriers.
many of these as you want.
Right. Well.
4.
Yeah, but still.
But yeah, exactly.
God, 4 Thorns a day.
Yeah, it's insane. And a lot of games are won over counter wars and things like that, and to just not have to worry about that
is
saves you so much trouble.
Hey, ignorant question. I'm asking this for a friend. Thorn of Amethyst. If I Force of Will something after Thorn's there, I have to pay a life, exile a blue card, and pay 1?
Yes.
Busted.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, your free Force of Will isn't free anymore.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff that basically this hose. Storm decks had a very tough time around this because every single card, which they tried to play all of them, cost 1 more at least, and that just stacked. Mentor decks had a pretty big fallout against these. That's why Shops was a little bit better than the Mentor decks, because Force of Will, again, being a very prominent card, you can't really use it as effectively. A lot of Gataxian Probe you can't use as effectively. A lot of cards like that you can't do. And so it just hosed things.
We talked about this effect in length during Hate Bears and one other time after that, and it really does slow so much stuff down. It does, 1 mana, we just talked about it with Skull Catapult, doesn't seem that consequential, but in a format that's so, like, any turn can be the turn someone wins. It feels like there's no build up until it
all happens at once.
Yeah, and making that more expensive is, it's never good for your opponent. So.
It just hoses a lot. Also worth mentioning, Moxes, things like that. This also made them cost mana.
Right.
So think about that too. So yeah, basically it just made tons of things a lot slower. Your deck didn't suffer from it at all because you just got to play out a bunch of artifact creatures that nobody could beat, and so you just won, which is why it represented 40% of the meta. I'm interested to see how much this will take it down, because I don't think this makes Shops a completely non-viable deck. I think it still is going to be 100% a viable deck, a very solid deck, but less consistent, which means obviously the percentage is going to drop. How much, I'm not sure.
I'd say less consistent in wins, definitely, because it leaves it more vulnerable, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
However, I still think they play their 1 copy of Thorn.
Oh yeah, definitely. You have to have that effect.
It's so good. And you're exactly right. Shops is a deck that has very few weaknesses, like just at its face, and it gets big quick.
Yeah, it does.
And again, strong card, not its like win con, not its engine really. It's just kind of added.
It's just
protection.
a huge bonus for that deck. So to see it come down 3 copies is a big deal.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right though. It'll probably still be playable.
It'll definitely be playable. The namesake card
still.
is Mishra's Workshop,
Right.
which is a land that taps basically for 3 in that deck. And so you start off very ahead already.
Yeah, favorable.
Yeah. So it's not as I definitely think we will still see shop decks.
Definitely will.
However, they will be less consistent, and so I'm interested to see the percentage drop. Now moving on to Mentor. We've talked about Mentor a lot. It's one of my favorite creatures. It's also one of my favorite decks, and I think we actually talked. I think we might have done a deck tech on Mentor at one point. I think you might have.
I think I did. You're right.
Basically, it's a standard sort of control variant deck with Mentor as the win condition, and the reason that works out so well is with the prowess trigger and with the 1/1 creatures that it generates. With every instant or sorcery that you play, you just get overwhelming advantage, and very early on you can get it. And so it's extraordinarily good, very easy to protect, and that's basically why it was at that 30% mark, was because it was such a good win con that it made it so difficult for other decks to recover once the Mentor actually stuck.
Yeah. So the Mentor ban to me feels like if you're in high school, you haven't seen your friend in a long time that you knew from like middle school.
Yeah.
Then you learn he's just gone off the rails. You're like, Mentor did what?
Yeah.
With who? They had to restrict him? What? But it makes sense. He always had a wild streak. So yeah, Mentor was kind of just way too good always. Yeah. And it makes perfect sense.
I think it does, yeah. And like you mentioned with this card, that nerfs Mentor, right? Like you don't play.
Yeah, you can't.
You don't play just one. I mean, you may just play one, but you have to have other supplemental cards for it.
That's the thing. The deck was built around Mentor. It was named the Mentor deck. Like so.
But I mean, we will say at its core, it was a control deck, right? Like it had the Force of Will, it had the card draw packages. Yeah. So I think the question becomes, what fills the Mentor's position? What takes its place?
Well, what's interesting about the Mentor deck in Vintage is that it feels very much like a really good modern control deck.
It does.
In that there's not some absurd combo. There's not just a crazy Storm win or anything.
Blightsteel maybe, but Tinker's like shoved into every deck. So.
Yeah, but I mean exactly that goes in everything. So excluding right, it's just kind of protect my board, keep you off of things. I Mentor for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I don't think you really can.
I don't think you get to do that now. I don't think
there's a card that really can replace it. So
yeah, because Young Pyromancer, for instance,
it doesn't do it.
Exactly. No. It's kind of the same Mentor feeling, except
it's just so much worse.
Yeah,
especially in Vintage.
Exactly. So I don't know that you get to
I don't
play.
think you really get to. I do think people will obviously try it, and they may, as you mentioned, try and run tutors for it, but I just don't think that's good.
I don't either. Especially because Vampiric is restricted as well.
Right.
So you have to think, all right, that's 2 copies of Mentor, essentially.
Right.
And it's 1 pure copy, 1 really slow one.
Yeah.
And then there's all your others, Diabolic, Demonic, whatever you want to say, and those are absurdly expensive for Vintage.
Yeah.
So do you get to play it? My answer is no.
I don't think you do. I'm interested to see how it actually pans out in the next few weeks and months, but I really don't think that that's a deck now. No, I just don't think it is. Okay, moving on to the last one, Yawgmoth's Bargain. I want to talk very quickly about this one because basically in the article that the Ian Duke posted about the bannings and unbannings restrictions and all that, they were looking at 2 cards for potentially unrestricting or unbanning, which are Yawgmoth's Bargain and Windfall. And basically they chose Yawgmoth's Bargain as sort of a stepping stone. So it's a bit of a safer unrestriction, I guess, in the sense that Windfall just is too good with too many things. It makes Storm way too good for way less mana, half the mana as Yawgmoth's
literally
Bargain.
Half.
And it's pitchable to Force of Will, which means other decks other than Storm can actually play it as just a solid card.
As a bonus,
and
right.
So it was just a little bit too good. They said that they're going to still keep an eye on Windfall and potentially unrestricted at some point. But I'm actually happy that they did what they did and stuck with Yawgmoth's Bargain because it's a very powerful effect. Skip your draw
Absolutely.
phase, pay a life, and you draw a card. However, it costs 6 mana, which is a lot, and it just doesn't interact with as many things. It's an engine, 100%. However, I don't think it has the impact that Windfall would have.
Yeah. And I would agree for exactly the same reasons. Not as many decks get to play it. It's 2 black, 4 colorless, and in Vintage it's kind of inconsequential. You got your Moxes, you got your Lotus.
If you want to get it out, you have a way to get it out.
Yeah, there's plenty of ways. That being said, it does take some time, right?
That's the thing. Like, you have to invest in it, whereas Windfall, you can just have a Windfall in your deck and you'll get to play it. So, like, I think it's much more of a focus card. I think there are going to be a lot of decks that sort of come out of the woodwork based on Yawgmoth's Bargain.
You think?
And I'm interested. I do. I think they're going to try to be there. I don't know if they're going to be tier 1 or if they're actually going to be good, but I think people will start to play with this card a lot more because it can be a consistent engine for a deck.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's going to be good. I think it's a great effect. I mean, it's an insanely powerful effect. There's no doubt about it.
That's very true.
However,
I mean, it's Necropotence, but worse.
Worse? I kind of think better.
The Necropotence?
Yeah.
Isn't it 3 black the same thing?
No, it's a little bit different. Let me look up Necropotence really quick.
Because that was the same effect.
No, it's a different effect. Let us see. Okay, Necropotence, skip your draw step. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard, pay 1 life, exile the top of your library face down, put that card into your hand at the beginning of the next end step.
It's way slower.
The key is you can do Yawgmoth's Bargain's effect basically at any time.
Yep, okay.
And so it's a much more powerful effect, I would say.
Gotcha.
Although very similar, you're right.
Similar, but no, this is way slower.
Yeah, it's worse.
Okay.
So I am interested to see what happens with this, because I do think people are obviously going to try and build around it. It's a great card, but is it going to be good enough? And my instant answer would be no. I don't know that it's not going to take over.
And here's my question: How are you building around it?
So the way I imagine it is people are gonna mock Stark Ritual, do some shenanigans that way, get it out on turn 1 or 2, and then just be able to draw their deck and either have a combo with it or do something like that, which is possible, 100%. But you do have to pay the life, so you're gonna have to get around that somehow.
Yeah.
Which there are ways. I mean, there are definitely ways to do it.
Sure.
But I don't think it's relying on too many pieces. I feel like to really get to the point where it's broken.
Yeah. I just think that since there are better card draw engines now.
Yeah.
You're not gonna abuse this.
Sure.
In much. Like, to me, you can already do this with better options, probably.
Maybe.
I mean, not really Gristlebrand, not really.
Yeah. I mean, Gristlebrand does have. So something else that they noted was that in the article that there are other really good card draw engines out there. Right. Gristlebrand being one of them. Which essentially, if you sort of equate it, it's like this effect 7 times in one shot.
Yeah. Which
is good, but I would argue that this is better because you don't actually have to. You could just do it once or twice. You don't have to do it 7.
If you're looking for something specific, absolutely.
I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to pan this one out, I think. Yeah. This is the most interesting card on the list for me. I'm not surprised by the Thorn or the Mentor. I mean, I don't think anybody that actually knew and played Vintage is really all that surprised by that.
No.
Yawgmoth's Bargain
makes perfect sense.
May not be hugely surprising, but I do think it's an interesting unrestriction, and I'm excited to see how it does pan out. So
yeah, I think it's not going to break anything to me. But that is the
somebody's gonna have a combo deck around it. That's insane. Then.
Probably.
It won't be consistent, but it'll be good.
That's fair.
All right. Anything else on the Vintage stuff?
Miss Mentor already.
I do too. I love Mentor. It's such a good creature.
It feels really fun.
Yeah. And Vintage, it was at its best there because of all the Moxes, things like that. It really isn't hugely playable anywhere else.
Far away. Done with that?
Yeah, we're good.
All
right. Moving on.
My falsetto needs some work.
Next episode, we'll try it again. All right. So card quality.
We'll fix it in post.
Card quality is the other big topic that we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah.
This has been brought up by many other people many other times, especially recently.
A few YouTubers, a few
Yeah,
writers.
I know Unsleeved Media did some stuff on it.
Ooh, controversial.
Yeah, a little bit. We're gonna not talk too much about that. But it is a good topic, and it's something that I think is worth talking about, and so we thought we'd talk about it here.
What, the issues with Unsleeved? Or?
No, card quality.
Oh, okay, sorry. Right.
I don't want to weigh in on another YouTuber. That's not
fair. I am not one to throw stones.
I wish him the very best. I do. But
yeah, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah,
He's probably
I don't know him
terrible.
personally by any means.
Right, so card quality.
Yeah.
Things have been happening over at the old printing press for Wizards. So if you've noticed, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but what people are finding now are in these newer packs, stemming back to me, really, I noticed it in Return to Ravnica. Excuse me. Kevin, you said you noticed it first in Modern Masters, the first one?
The 2017 edition, it really hit home for me that it was happening. It's something that it sort of has been on the back burner for me over the past few years, because I think in Return to Ravnica you can notice it, and as time has gone on, it gets worse and worse. Yeah, I think it's at its peak now. It's really not great.
Yeah, so there are blemishes and issues in every set. I mean, if you print,
you should expect that.
Yeah, you print a paper product billions of times, something's gonna get messed up once or twice. Printers run out of whatever, you can say.
Happens.
I've got a little Rakdos Cackler with a little green dot beside him.
Do you really? That's cool.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of nice.
And actually, for some misprints, like actual misprints, and like uneven cutting and things like that on the card sheet, that's actually kind of worth money. Like, that's cool.
Some people collect that stuff. Some people covet it. Some people keep it so secret.
There's literally someone called the Collector that collects that stuff.
Well, there you go. Yeah, so it happens. However, with this new set, it's gotten a little more prevalent, I think, and we're talking about ours.
Yeah, and we're not talking about actual misprints. We're talking about inconsistencies and just very clear incorrect printing issues. Things like, I know in Modern Masters 2017, I got a box where almost every foil was, first of all, they bend very easily. That's a very common problem a lot of people are having now. A lot of the older foils are not doing that, at least not to that extent. And it's happening very quickly now, where a week or two after you open your card, it starts to curl. That's a huge just issue in general that I think is just bad foiling process that I think they need to work on. On top of that, though, I noticed in the Modern Master set, almost every name on the cards that were foil had this sort of fuzzy look to it. It was like it had been over inked and saturated a little bit too much. And so I noticed it in most of the foils, and then also in a few of the other cards, to the point where I opened a pack. I know there was one specific pack where almost every card in the pack had the issue. And it was the fuzzy text on the top of the card. It was just very odd. And also saturation has been a huge issue, especially in Hours of Devastation.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. Like, it's very inconsistent.
And I didn't really buy into it all at first, but looking at copies of cards next to each other, there's definitely like variants that you don't expect.
Yeah. Dream Stealer is the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, same. Like, some of them look a lot more purple. Some of them are like blacker.
Yeah,
it's
weird.
It can be. It's noticeable. Now, that's not. I'll save that for the end, maybe. But,
okay.
Yeah.
So here's the problem with card quality issues and printing issues and things like that. People are paying money for this product, and they're expecting a high quality product and a consistent product. And they seem to not be getting it. I know a lot of people have complained about it. Some could argue it's not as big of an issue as some people are making it. Some are thinking it's a bigger issue than people are making it. That's all for you to decide for yourself. Yeah. Personally, I think it's an issue. I don't think it's the biggest issue in the world, but I do think it's something that should be fixed. I mean, Wizards needs to be making a quality product. I mean, that's what we should hold them to as consumers of their product. However, I think some people are maybe blowing it up a little more than it needs to be, but that's just personal.
So, I mean,
thoughts.
One thing, maybe philosophically to consider. Philosophically? Did I say that right? Philosophically? Philosophically to consider. yes, Wizards is making a physical product, a card.
Yeah.
And if you are a card collector and you stick them in shoeboxes or in books and keep them on the shelves and never touch them other than to look at them and go, look at my thought seasons. I've got
Look at my book of thought seasons.
30 thought
I knew
seasons.
somebody that had like a book of thought seasons.
I mean, if
and by a book, I mean like one of those 2x2 like
the little
Pro
one
boxes or
an itty bitty one.
Yeah, and you just had thought seas after thought seas.
Dude, but thought seasons is so good.
I mean, it's a cool card to get into.
It's my favorite
like...
turn one, but more on that later. So that is one aspect of the product, yes. But I would say they're also producing a game, which is another one, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So to me, on the onset, card quality, while it can be important, and I'll touch on that in a second, can be important. I think what's really important to Magic as a maybe an entity is that they keep producing a quality game that's balanced, fun to play.
Agreed.
That still gets people like excited and jazzed.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll say though, kind of on the side of Wizards, you messed up. If they're not creating a consistent card product, it might affect the card's value in the future.
And that's where I think the issue comes from.
Right.
Because
so like foils, to your point, if they're bending like they
are bending. I mean, that's just terrible.
Yeah, that makes them almost you don't want them. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it does. And the thing about it is Magic and Wizards has announced this multiple times, and in fact, that's why they have things like the reserve list and things like that, cards that they won't print, is that they do tailor some things to collectors. Mm-hmm. They know that their market is players and collectors.
True. Yes,
and what it sounds like to me is they're focusing on the players, which isn't a bad thing. However, they're putting some of the collectors to the wayside. That's the message that it can send, I would say.
I say it's an interpretation, but to me, honestly, the player is more important, right? You don't get millions of viewers on Twitch to watch a guy on open packs.
You're exactly right, but they say that that's where I have issues, is that they say they tailor to the collectors, but then they're not.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? If they were saying we're focusing only on players, collectors, screw off, we don't care. We're printing the reserve list, deal with it.
Well, that's the thing. If they just were like, you know what, reserve list, terrible idea.
That would send a clear message.
You get a Black Lotus. You get a Black Lotus. That would be totally different.
Yes.
But the fact they still have the reserve list. They do these like Modern Masters, these Eternal Masters sets that they make the cards more accessible. Which
focuses on players.
Well, on the one hand, but maybe
I'm not saying that's a bad thing either. I'm just saying
someone who wants to start collecting or needs to fill out some stuff doesn't have access to that product, can't find it.
Sure.
Right? Like, I know Liliana is not a hard card to find, but she could be a hard card to get a hold of because she's so coveted. Her printing makes her.
It's just one of those things where like,
and you get to sit on that product if you want. You just buy a bunch of boxes and sit on it. Yeah.
Which is smart. You should do that.
By the way,
buy the original Modern Masters. Wait 10 years. It'll be great.
Oh, God.
I don't know. It's just something that like, it's clearly an issue. It's something that I think needs to be talked about. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. It's not like the cards in the new sets are like of super high value anyway. No offense to like you standard players, but the cards aren't super valuable.
No, you're absolutely right.
Name like the highest valued card out of ours. Like, what is it?
It'd probably be Nicol Bolas still, right?
Maybe, but like
at like $19.
I'm gonna look. I'm interested to see now.
I don't know what it would be.
Continue discussing.
Sure. I've recognized that this is like a speed bump, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it changes Magic as a game.
Yeah, okay. Nicol Bolas. As far as non-foils,
how much does that cost, Kevin?
$20.
$19.99 specifically.
This is from Card Kingdom pricing.
Who
by the way.
freaking called it?
I mean,
me.
$20 for a card. That so ruined everything you did up until this point.
Every episode, I whack the boom stand.
My thing about this is like, they are focusing on playability because that's what standard is. They're making a lot of money out of standard. That's fine. They're not printing high value cards, so it really doesn't matter anyway. But like,
exactly,
if $20 is your high end, that's not high. Sorry. If you're a budget player, I understand. I've been there. but realistically, $20 is nothing in a game of Magic. Like,
well, no, it's really not, especially in Standard where things rotate.
Yeah.
So no, I think you're right in that
so I
respect.
get that, but I just think that like print inconsistencies in print quality is actually a problem. I do think they need to fix it. I mean,
Yes, you're
it's
right.
not,
Yes, but
it's not game breaking, but they need to fix it.
No,
It's definitely something that they should have on their radar. at
yeah,
least.
I'm not gonna say it's all right. Before the show, you talked about a point
Yes.
that our friend made.
So
Do you want to
our
enlighten?
friend made. So okay.
You want to talk to the folks? Or...
Yeah. So I've been kind of thinking about it and toying around with it too. But basically, the point that was brought up to me in a specific video by a specific YouTuber who I will not name. Wink, wink. Notice what it's not in.
Anyway, talk about it.
Basically, his point was that Magic Arena, if you don't know, is just sort of leaked. It's not something, we don't know much about it. We just know the name, but it's a new game, online PC game that they're working on as a way to play Magic. The question becomes, what kind of, is it going to be like an MC? They're not trying to replace MTGO according to what Wizards has actually said. So is it going to be a different interpretation of Magic? Is it going to be sort of an MMO thing? Like, there's tons of different ways to do it. We don't know any of how that's going to go yet.
Right.
So that's all speculation. But something that was brought up is that for Wizards, it's more cost effective to make online product, not paper product, because they don't have to spend as much. They can sell it at the same price, as in if you buy an online pack of Magic on MTGO, it's going to cost you the same as it would in real life. And that's just how it is now. But basically what they're saying is that because it's more cost effective for Wizards to do this online, they're putting less and less money into the paper product and trying to focus more on the PC online sort of aspect of it. And I don't know. It seems a bit far-fetched, right? Like, that's a bit of a stretch.
Take your tinfoil hats off, guys. Let's relax.
Breaking this down very quickly, it does, from a business standpoint, 100% makes sense. I'm breaking this down.
I'm gonna disagree, but okay.
From a cost-effective standpoint, it is 100% correct to say that it is less costly on the business end to make online product. That's just true. I'm not defending. I'm just saying that's a fact. Like, it takes less money for them to make online cards. They can make unlimited supply of it. All it is lines of code. It's very easy to do that.
Yeah, but now I hire developers. Now I hire engineers. Now I have servers that I need to maintain, update, upkeep. If something goes down, I need to pay to fix it. If I get hacked, now I've got everyone's credit cards on the line. Like, that's a very real problem that Sony and Samsung have had issues with.
Yeah, that's true.
Not only that, but this is card stock.
Yeah,
this probably cost Wizards less than a penny.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It came in a pack that's worth about $4. Would you say?
Yeah, $3.54.
So let's talk about profit margin for a second. Something I handle at my job frequently.
I get that, but
they make so much money printing cards because they are very cheap to produce. The fact that a game that started in the 90s, printing things on cardstock, was so successful and made gobs of money was because this costed nothing to make, which does not serve them credit.
Here's what so on the online front, you're exactly right. You have to pay for maintenance. You have to pay for all that. On the front of the physical side, you have to pay for shipping costs. You have to pay for printing, cutting. Well, you have to pay for all that stuff too. There are costs that are there that are not in the online side.
Not if the shops that are getting the product have paid me a fee to sell my product.
But they're paying distributors. They're not the distributors. It's being sent there.
Even so.
So, I mean, they're not.
Even if they make half from a pack, right?
I feel like the profit margin isn't that different from paper and online. Like, I feel like it's pretty similar.
I mean, obviously not having records.
I mean, yeah, this is all speculation on our end, but like,
I can't really say.
I don't feel like it would be tremendously different.
I mean, no. So, I mean, honestly, it would be higher online, right? Because they're not shipping anything. They're not. You're right there.
Yeah.
But like, they are not hurting if they just make a physical product.
They're
ever.
not, but again, they're focusing on players, I guess, is what we come back to. Is
Right.
that because MTGO is so widely played, it's easily accessible. It makes the game accessible to people. They are doing a lot of stuff online, which is great. I'm not against that by any means. The question becomes, does anybody actually think that, they're sort of not phasing out, quote unquote, paper versus online, but
that's
do you
where
think they're focusing more online versus paper?
No, that's where I take issue.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense to me. I agree with you is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because Magic has always been a card game.
Oh, well, yeah.
If it's not cards, no, it doesn't work. To me, that sounds like they are intentionally
it's sort
printing
of like you're
bad
just
cards
kind of accusing
to make people go play MTGO and Magic Arena, and it sounds
it's really kind of conspiracy.
It sounds like conspiracy theory.
Well,
I don't buy into that.
I think it's also worth noting every other competitor of Magic has a physical card game. It would be really stupid. Most except Hearthstone.
I was gonna say
that's the big one, but Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon TCG, a bunch of these card games are physical card games. It would be really stupid for Magic to pull out of that physical market altogether. There's just no reason to do that.
Yeah, I don't foresee a reason there. However, they have always been pioneers. Every card game you play is related to Magic in some way.
Yeah.
So it would shock me tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, it would me too. I don't see the argument there, to be honest. But I do think it was just worth bringing up because it was a point that was made.
No, it absolutely is, because it's not a thought that would go away on its own.
No.
Not to say we bashed it, but honestly, yes, there's an argument to be made that it could be more cost effective to do it online, but there are so many liabilities and other fees associated with it. I don't think it's as detrimental.
I think you're probably
in
right.
creating a product, you're 100%, but I don't know.
I know what you mean.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thanks for getting me, Kev.
I agree. I mean, I don't think I think that's way too speculatory to actually have any ground.
Especially when we don't even know what Magic Arena is yet.
Yeah, I mean, we have no clue.
There's a 2-paragraph article on PC Gamer about it that says Magic released a name, and they're gonna tell us more on the 10th.
Yeah,
and that's it.
It didn't give us a release date of the actual game or anything, right?
No, they said that
clue.
Wizards would talk a little bit more about it on the 7th, not the 10th. Sorry, on the 7th, and then a sign up will go up for the closed beta around that date.
Okay.
So if you can get in and see kind of what it's about.
Yeah.
And no clue. You're absolutely right.
We have no idea. And they have said it's not going to replace MTGO. So that begs the question: what kind of game is it going to be?
Exactly.
Right? Because they wouldn't just reskin MTGO and be like, "Here's Magic Arena."
Yeah, they would just update
stupid.
MTGO. People have already put money there, invested in it.
Yeah.
So what is it? What?
It not cost effective to make a brand new game. Speaking of profit margins,
it kind of feels to me like it might be some, no offense, dumb MMO where you become a planeswalker.
Yeah.
Have a backstory. Go to the plains and spells. Pew, pew.
Yeah, I buy that. There was an argument that was brought up that it might be a dumbed down version of Magic where it's sort of like a Hearthstone version.
Yeah. That would be bad.
I don't know if I mean, a lot of people have played Hearthstone.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Magic.
Yeah.
I don't play it regularly, but I have played it. It's a fun game, but it definitely is it feels sort of like a dumbed down version of Magic.
Absolutely,
and that's not a hit on Hearthstone. I think that's, if anything, it has a wider market, but I think that's great. I don't think that Magic is going to try to, personally, I don't think Magic's going to try and dumb down their game just to compete with that.
They would never. The only way they can, I'll say this first, they would never change the fundamentals of Magic to make it more accessible. I don't think so. That's not what Magic's about. What they can do is give us, what is that Xbox game?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what's the name of that?
It's not Arena, obviously.
Well, yeah.
It's Battlegrounds?
That might be it. That sounds right.
Like that. Which, all right, creative team, Arena, Battleground. Come on. I don't actually know if that's what it is, but essentially, The way they dumb it down is give you a deck full of commons
Yeah.
that are relatively the same. And they pitch you against real silly computers.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
They've done that.
I don't want a dumbed down version of Magic. If I want to play Magic, I just want to play Magic. You know?
Right.
Now, it would be interesting if they did something like focused on Commander, maybe. Like, and I'm just speculating, but what if Magic Arena was only Commander play? It was its own client solely for Commander, and it was dressed up a little bit in the way that Hearthstone sort of has the dress up sort of look.
Now that would be sweet.
That would be interesting. You know?
I'd play the snot out of that.
I mean,
that'd be
we
awesome.
all know MTGO does not handle Commander well, so like,
No.
it really doesn't handle Magic well.
What's
but like,
the stack?
Yeah, I mean, that's just speculation. I don't see the reason to do that because you have Commander on MTGO.
Right, and you've printed physical product there.
Yeah.
I don't.
It'd be interesting.
No,
yeah.
Your game's safe. Calm down, everyone.
All of this is to say that card quality is something that recognizably is an issue. It's not the biggest issue in the world, but they should be considering things, just improving quality.
Right,
That's
and
all.
a point I didn't make earlier is kind of not to Wizards' defense. These, I think we all know, or at least can imagine, these are super cheap to make.
Yeah.
Why can't you just make them the same most of the time?
Listen.
And well, okay, they are the same most of the time, but it's become more regular.
Yeah, the inconsistencies have definitely become more regular.
Yeah, let me not attack Wizards, because I don't think it's as prevalent as some other folks, but I have noticed that.
I've noticed it. I know. I think with the Modern Master stuff, I ended up with like 8 or 9 boxes of it, and one box was pretty bad. As far as print quality goes. From there, it was like here and there. I mean, got some bad quality.
Wouldn't that kind of make sense? Like if they're printing all these cards in a sheet, they cut them there. If you're having a problem,
it's gonna happen in a box. I mean,
that's because they just package them together.
But I mean, I've had 8 or 9 boxes of other sets and not had that issue. But then at the same time, we don't know what the size. I don't know exactly how many boxes they made of it. So like, I don't know what the ratio would be that I should expect.
I mean, you could. They used to print box numbers in every box.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know if they do now.
I don't know if they do. I don't think so.
There's a little card that they put in there.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore, I don't believe.
It might be somewhere on the box. I don't know.
Maybe, but all right. Well, anything else on card quality? It's something that I think we should talk about, so I'm glad we had it on here, but
if it's in the community, on the community's mind, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Let's see, we're talking about card quality tonight. Wasn't that special? Classic SNL for anyone who's.
Let's very quickly go over the question of the week.
Yeah, please.
So huge support on this, by the way. We've gotten really good support.
What color
on
are we?
these.
Red?
Black.
Red
is the last one, which will be this coming week. So comment below or comment on the post on Instagram. But we ended up with over 50 responses, which is awesome. You guys are the best. So Alex, our resident streamer, Gonti, Lord of Luxury, is his favorite card in all of Magic.
It's so cool.
It's a great card. I can't argue with that.
God, he's dope.
Yeah. Grave Pact, Dark Ritual, Whip of Erebos, which I think is interesting.
Whip feels thematically.
Thematically, it's great.
Whip, Erebos.
I like Whip.
Get out of the underworld. Go fight for me.
I had a mill deck.
So cool.
So I had a mill deck that ran Consuming Aberration with Whip. So like I would play Consuming Aberration if it died, which generally, because it's a target, it's gonna die.
What?
Then I whip it back.
You big 28.
Yeah, exactly. Weird, right? Then you whip it back. It still has, insane stats because of all the cards in the graveyard. You swing with it, you get the life link. So you gain like a crap ton of life.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and even if they block
it's kind of a lot.
You still gain it, and it's just awesome. It was a really cool combo. Tragic Slip, just too funny of a card. Like,
yes,
oops, I'm dead, is the comment by the Cool Skies. That was great. Identity Crisis or Merciless Eviction. Doom Blast for 3 color. Hymn to Turok, brutal card. You were correct.
I'm picturing the dude.
Oops, I'm dead.
The dude on Tragic Slip, just like a zany cartoon voice.
Yeah.
Oops, I'm dead.
Oops, I'm dead.
Minus 13 to the heart. Oh.
It is funny that it's minus 13. Anyway, Cabal Ritual.
Because it's bad luck.
Yeah, no. Dictate of Erebos. Butcher, excuse me, of Malakir.
Butcher of Murliker.
Butcher of Murliker. Ermagerd. Necropotence. We talked about that. Bitter Blossom.
Yeah.
Yes, you know what's up.
Bitter Blossom's sweet.
Bump in the Night because you watched Loading Ready Run. Demonic Tutor.
Bump in the Night's great.
Yeah. Shieldred, spelled incorrectly, sorry. Necropotence again, Demonic Tutor.
Way to call him out, Kev.
I'm not saying who it is. I think you're the only person that put Shieldred, but
I'm so sorry.
We're laughing at you a bit, buddy, but I'm sorry.
Because it's not even close. Sherlock.
We appreciate the comment anyway.
Yeah.
Tragic Slip again. Death Shadow, because that's awesome. Stop laughing at me. Fatal Push. Doomsday, because you know how to play good Magic. Living End. What else? Stop laughing. Thoughtseize or Hero's Downfall.
Nice.
Somebody said every black card.
Hey.
Okay.
Black's my favorite color. So I
Fatal
get that.
Push or Kalitas or Full Art Swamp.
All right, so I've learned something. That there's gobs of potential to make a spin-off Wizards Hillbilly joke show. Where you got Cletus and Sherlock, which sounds an awful lot like Sherlock. Just living in a swamp because this is where they are.
That's what they do. Whipping stuff. Whipping stuff. Phyrexian Arena, Damnation, Agent of Fates.
Agent of Fates is sweet.
Liliana of the Veil.
Talk about a payoff for heroic. Like that was one of the, that was a good heroic effect.
Yeah, that's about it. In Garrick's Wake is an interesting one. A lot of responses though, guys. So we really do appreciate that. As always, the community stuff is the best part, and Sherlock is now my favorite card.
I need anyone who's an artiste out there. Could you draw me up what Sherlock might look like? Maybe
that'll be a challenge that we set for people, or a contest. It'll be a artist giveaway. Draw what you think Sherlock is.
It sounds an awful lot like Shelob.
Like Shelob, yeah, it does.
Man, now I just want to go watch the movies. You got 12 hours? We can get the extended ones.
Thank you guys for participating in the question of the week.
Yeah, appreciate
that. We're finishing up all of our favorite colors. So this week is red. So comment your favorite red card.
Tybalt.
If you don't say Tybalt,
actually maybe
you don't know how to play.
Gamble might be my favorite.
Gamble's really good.
It's fun.
Harmless Offering, just because it has a cat with a little Eldrazi tail on it.
Oh yeah, that was sweet.
A little Eldrazi in the you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
It's like super subtle, but you see his little tentacle.
Say, here, a cat, probably. And I love the art for that card. It's sweet.
Yeah,
it's really like good. The dude, I think his arms all beat up and stuff.
Yeah,
he's like, here, take this cat.
Please take this cat.
I stole Satan's cat.
I stole Satan's cat. It's just sitting there like.
Milk or souls, please.
All right. Finishing up our episode, we have our Crack-a-Packs. Our pack openings. Where we open a pack and we have our gold cards.
Packs.
Yeah, but now we have a new series called Crack-a-Pack.
Stars it
hosted by me. Just go watch it.
Yeah.
Hey, the last pack. Actually, no, I can't say. The pack that rounded out the last week was epic.
Yeah.
Really good pull. So go watch that. But anyway, yes. So these are sponsored by Grand Slam. Oh yeah, we need to. This is land, right? Okay.
Okay. All right.
These are sponsored by Grand Slam. As always, we want to thank them for their support. They have done a tremendous amount for us.
Yeah. Thank you.
We can't thank them enough. So you guys should definitely go check them out. Help them out.
Please do.
Buy some of their stuff. Be cool. All that jazz.
Be great.
All right, what you got? Well, what's our gold card first?
Well, my gold card. Torment of Hailfire.
What a great card.
It is a great card. It just needs the right deck.
Yep.
So I'm hoping this is it.
Big deck.
Well, that's not it. Although, I
In
love...
limited, that's great, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's good in constructed, too.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I don't play standard
I mean,
constructed.
it goes in Atraxa for sure. So, Jeru with eyes open is my rare.
With eyes wide open.
Creed with eyes open. Ugh.
God, what a terrible band.
Sorry, Creed fans or Creed.
If you're a Creed fan, I'm sorry for your existence.
That took a turn. Creed is not my favorite band.
We are not out to get fans. I'm looking to be honest here.
Yeah, Creed is a band, little do they know, made for memes of the future.
They didn't know it at the time, but man.
Yeah. I love this card because of Jeru's story in Magic, which is probably the nerdiest thing I've ever said.
I was going to say, I don't know it.
So Jeru was, he and his brother, whose name I don't remember, went with...
Creed.
Sure, we'll call him Creed. Jeru and Creed went with Gideon to one of the trials.
Really?
Bontu's trial, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So in Bontu's trial, you got to fight a bunch of monsters. There's some traps. There's like acid water, whatever. And they get to Bontu. They're like, "Sup, Bontu? We made it." And Bontu's like, "Yeah, rip each other's hearts out and give them to me." And Gideon's like, "That's terrible." And Jerry was like, "Yeah." It's like awesome. So he kills his brother. He kills his brother by...
That's so epic.
Here's what happened, actually. Jeru, like, they were, like, talking about who it should be as brothers. And Jeru's brother's like, "It should be you." And Jeru's like, "I'll make it quick, I promise." And then he drowns him. He, like, drops his sword and he's like... So, yeah. Jeru's a jerk. But I love it because it's with eyes open. Because he knows now that all that he did was terrible. Because
He done messed up.
Yeah, you done messed up, Jeru.
All right. Is that going to be your pick, I assume?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's actually just a good card.
Vigilance 4/3 for 5. When it enters the battlefield, I can search my library for a Planeswalker card, reveal it, put it into my hand, and then shuffle.
Which a lot of times you're going to miss in limited, but, like,
still,
who cares? It's a
if a
4/3
source
Vigilance.
Yeah.
That's really good.
If a source would deal damage to a Planeswalker you control, prevent one of that damage. I actually haven't looked at the rest of it. Resolute Survivors honestly might be my pick. It's a build around for Exert, and it's really
it definitely
solid.
is. It's a good card.
I actually think,
What else do you have?
Not a ton. Lethal Sting.
You really don't. Actually, the Ritualist is pretty good. I like the Ritualist and limited. Lethal Sting is also good.
Yeah. I like the Survivors more. It gives me direction more than
I think that's why
Ritualist.
I like the Ritualist, because I like to be open.
That's fine.
That's just personal.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, Jared's good, but...
All right. My rare... The one I'm looking for is Frank Sanity. I hope I get it.
I hope you do too.
I feel like I won't.
You want me to rub some luck on it?
Would you? Just rub it a bit?
Oh, hang on. You gotta get the guy who committed...
You have to open the eyes of my card. This is the weirdest thing we've ever done on the... No, it's not. It's up there. Alright, that's good. Okay, no. But it's actually...
Oh, hey!
Card. Okay, Solemnity is the card I got. Another enchantment.
You will.
2 and a white. Players cannot get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands.
Infect.
That's the thing, though. It's not really good in limited, right?
No. Not really here. Although...
I mean, it has synergies with -1/-1 counters.
I was going to say, this
kind of
actually hoses that. I might take it just as a sideboard option.
I don't know that I would first pick it. So, other cards that I would look at as cards that I would like. Quarry Beetle is pretty good. I was actually really impressed with this. It does have synergy with a lot of the deserts.
Yeah.
Strategic
as a 4/5.
planning, yeah, it's just also strategic planning and tragic lesson are like draw spells, which are decent. I don't necessarily like first picking them, but it does add some consistency. Thorn Moloch,
No,
Lethal
Thorn
Sting.
Moloch is awesome. I disagree.
Do you? I mean, I don't really know. I've not played any limited powers. So.
Yeah, first strike when it's attacking with prowess for 3.
Okay, yeah,
that's
pretty
really
good.
solid.
Yeah, that seems pretty awesome. But Catcher's Avenger is actually pretty good, and then Lethal Sting. I don't know. I'd probably pick the Beetle, just because it leaves me open. Green's a very good color, I think, in this format, and it's just a solid pick. Like it's a 4/5 body. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely not
Lethal
bad.
Sting I would also consider solely because I very highly value removal.
Right.
And that's pretty great removal, right? Like, just destroy target creature. I mean, you do have to put a -1/-1 counter on something,
But sometimes you don't care about that.
yeah,
Sometimes
who
you
cares?
want that.
And if I have Wheel Solemnity, I really don't care. So
True. Yeah, I think Lethal Sting's nice. Yeah, Moloch's not really first pick, but don't. First Strike Limited's awesome.
I'm sure it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's really,
So, yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Grand Sling.
Yeah.
That was great.
Thank you, Bontu.
Yeah, way to be there, Bontu. Way to
Praise be to
rip
Bontu.
people's hearts out and tell other people to do that too.
And then she like kicked Gideon out. She's like, "You're a wimp. See ya."
And then Gideon died.
No, he
I
didn't.
don't know, he didn't.
He did get his butt kicked by Nicol
His
Bolas.
butt annihilated.
We're gonna get out of here, guys. We talked about a lot of stuff.
We did.
Card quality. We talked about vintage. We opened some packs. It's a good episode.
It was a good episode. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you did like this episode, do not forget to drop us a like. And don't forget to comment your question of the week answer. What's your favorite red card?
Yeah. And if you didn't like it, sling a dislike at our face.
Just do it. I don't even care.
Just
I dare you. I don't dare you.
no, do it.
I triple dog dare you. Now you've got to do it. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us, watching this episode, listening to what we have to say. We do want to know your thoughts, so let us know. But until next week, or until the next episode that you watch of Crack-a-Pack, shameless plug, I guess we'll see you then.
Yeah.
We're going to get out of here. My name is Kevin.
My name's Will.
And this has been It Resolves.